Hi there. Like I said in my 500 subscribers special video, I was working on a new video to post really soon, and this is the one. And I think you can now guess why this should have been already released. Queendom started literally 1 month ago, and I am only dropping my predictions now. As you read by the title, this video will be about my predictions for Queendom 2. I should have done this video a lot sooner, but oh well, better late than never, right? At the time I am writing this, the first 5 episodes of Queendom 2 have already been released. However, I still didn't have much time to check those out, and I also wanted to keep this video as fresh and impartial as possible, so I decided to make this video without watching the episodes already released. I did watch the intro stages though. I also know that the groups are ranking who did better and worse, but that's something I was already taking into consideration while writing this, because they always did that in the previous seasons of this show. Keep in mind that this video is representing my opinions and thoughts before watching Queendom. They may not be reasonable after the episodes that have been out, but I think it would be interesting to post my initial thoughts anyway. Without further ado, let's start this with a in-detail review of how each group will do in the season of Queendom. This must be the group I am least sure about, but after watching the intro performance, I think I can give my prediction. WJSN is already well known in South Korea, but for what I know, their international fanbase is quite small, so their final ranking will surely be up to the Korean public. They may be one of the groups most known by the general public of the show, and I think that will play a lot with their final ranking. Starship is also capable of producing some very good hits, so their comeback song will probably be one of the strongest. However, I am not seeing this group gaining a lot from this show. They will do well, but not extremely well. But I think they might show us a bit more about the group, because their releases as subunits were really interesting, and if they end up doing that, I think they will gain many international fans and may place very high on the show. They are also very respected by the other groups, since they are such an iconic group in South Korea. The group nobody knows why they are here. Well, I think we know why, because Net couldn't get any other group to the show, so they putted their own group on Queendom 2. It's not even the first time they do that. But that's beside the point. I think KPop will present us really interesting performances and will show that they may be a rookie group but didn't come to play. However, I think their lack of experience will be noticed by most, and I don't think their performances will be the best ones, but they will for sure gain a lot of new fans, both internationally and in Korea, with their unique spark and talent. However, during the show, they will rely mostly on their international fans, but I think that they are going to do quite well on the ranking due to that, even if their comeback song won't do that well, because international fans can't do much about that, but I also feel like their Korean public will grow by then. This woman is going to slay the stage. She already did that with her intro performance, and it will only grow more from there. I think Highland stages will cause great impact between the groups, which is important because they also get to vote, but also in the judges and general public. Her biggest problems will be the fact that she doesn't have a big solid fan base like some other groups, and that she is competing solo, and that will affect her, because that will limit her compared to the other groups, especially when she has to cover the other group's songs. Either way, I think one of her performances is going to go viral, either internationally or in Korea, and will make people acknowledge more her talent, and will probably bring a lot of attention to her future releases. These women are going to rock this, mark my words. Their fan base is quite big now, they have the general public's heart, and are taken with great respect by the other groups. Not only that, but their discography and talent is going to help them a lot too. I bet their arrangements of the songs for their stages are going to be amazing. The intro already shows that, and they are going to transform the other group's song their own, or make their own song into something vastly different. I also think they will impress both the international and the Korean public. Their comeback song will also be the one doing the best on the Korean charts, which will help them a lot on the final round. Just remember how the boys jumped on the ranking on Queendom due to their song, doing the best out of the 6. And did I talk how iconic those women are? I also don't think I have to explain why they will have the full support of the other groups and the general public. Their story is just really inspirational. I think they will end this show with a much stronger and bigger fandom, capturing the attention of those of the general public that still don't really know them. Also, their chemistry is for sure going to show on Queendom too. The only step back for them is that their actual fan base is not that big, especially compared to the fandom of the other groups, and they will probably fall behind on the votings.
Let's pump it up!
Not going to lie, I am quite surprised to see Luna here, since their company is broke, and I don't know how they will fund the stages, since from what I heard, their first stage was really expensive. As I said, I still haven't watched the performances, but you know it's really hard to not receive any kind of spoilers during times like these. But I am happy that they are here. But I am not quite sure about their journey on Queendom. I think that internationally, they are going to receive a lot of support due to the size of their fandom, and that will most likely be shown by the views of their stage and receiving a lot of votes. But with Kepler also in the show, I don't think they are going to be the group winning in those aspects. And why am I talking about this? Because those two are the main categories going for them. Their Korean success is very limited, and without the SM's founder name on their songs, their comeback song will probably fall quite behind in digitals. The other groups will probably not see Luna as a big threat either, and will more likely put them on the last ranks. I also feel like Luna will not be able to show us performances that really makes them stand out from the rest, which will affect their score given by the judges. I think their journey in Queendom 2 will become really obscured by the other groups, and that they will not gain a lot from this show, especially in South Korea. Internationally, I think their growth is also limited, not only by their stages, but mainly due to their own fandom that always finds a way to start fan wars, and this show is going to bring the worst of this fandom, with Orbit starting a bunch of fan wars that will only damage their group.
Just feel the music, pop, pop, that's right.
This group is going to be the dark horse of the show. I am quite surprised people were against their participation on the show due to their lack of songs, but their first stage showed who they are representing. G-Friend, the group that Hybe decided to disband for no reason. That's a topic for another video. They may be relatively new as Vivas, but their experience as G-Friend members will be shown throughout the show, with probably the most creative stages that will captivate the viewer, and they will quickly gain the respect from the other groups. Their fandom is also quite big already, and I am sure a lot of buddies are going to help Vivas on Queendom too. Therefore, I think they will do well on all of the major categories: views, judge score, group self-ranking, voting polls, and comeback digitals. Their start will be unnoticed, but by the end of the show everyone will be talking about them. I also think one of their stages, if I have to guess, maybe the last one, before the comeback stage, will go viral, due to them making a performance about their times as G-Friend, and maybe they will even invite the other 3 members to perform along with them, which will attract a lot of buzz around them. Before going to my final ranking, I would like to reiterate that this is my opinion based of what I have seen happening and what I feel like will happen. I also don't stan any of these groups, and I am thankful for that, because after Road to Kingdom I have been traumatized with these shows, but this is to say that I am not super biased to any of the groups. Obviously I still have my favorites, you can never be 100% impartial, but I tried my best with this one. Also, let's do a quick ranking on which groups will benefit the most from this survival show.
내 이름 슈퍼 그럼요
said in my group review, they don't have a lot to earn from this show, I'm afraid. And except they do some really interesting concepts, which may happen, I don't see them gaining a lot of fans. But their international fandom is for sure going to grow quite a bit. As you just heard, I am not really confident with Luna's appearance on Queendom, and I wonder if this will do them any kind of miracle. But for now, I think their international fanbase will get stronger, but their Korean fanbase will only grow a bit. However, this growth will be noticed on their next comeback, but it will not be that big of a jump. Don't get me wrong, they are going to grow a lot from this show. It's just that the other three will have bigger jumps. But I think it's from this tier that we'll notice the growth that Queendom 2 gave to the groups. I think they will grow even more internationally, but the big jump is going to be from the Korean fans, which is bringing Kepler to new heights next comeback. She is going to be growing her fandom from both sides of the globe, and she will gain a lot from her appearance on Queendom. Her next comeback is going to do really well, and she is going to become one of the most famous female soloists of these recent times. I am really excited for her future. The only limitation for her is that K-pop fans don't actively stan soloists, so she will have to rely mostly on general public's recognition, which can fade away in some time, but I doubt it. These women are already famous, but they will become even more successful. I think this show will be able to give them a chance to show their charms and tasteful discography, and will make most of their casual listeners into stans, while still enlarging their casual listeners, which will result in a big jump in numbers for their next comeback. They are probably going to be the biggest group when the show ends, but since they are already really famous, I put them on second place. For me, the group with the biggest jump in popularity will be Viva's, because they are going to show how much they still have to show to the K-pop industry and will attract everyone with their talent. Also, I think many people will see in them the post-G-Friend group, and, in the lack of G-Friend, they will be put an eye on Viva's by finally giving them the recognition that G-Friend also had. Now, before going into the final ranking, let me just give one last prediction. Mamamoo will give a special performance on Queendom 2's final. They are, after all, the winners of the first season of Queendom, so it would only be fair for them to perform on Queendom 2's final and be there to give the winning group their award. So, keep in mind, the group that wins this will receive the award from Mamamoo and become, alongside them, the queens of K-pop. Now, into the final ranking from my group review. I think this prediction doesn't come as a surprise. Although their international fanbase is big, I don't think it will be big enough to help counter the low scores from the other categories that are not in the responsibility of the international fans. I also think that, since Kepler is also on the competition and has a much stronger and active fandom, that will damage Luna too. The views for their intro performance weren't much higher than the other participants, which just shows my point. They will do better in the categories that international fans are responsible for, but not that much better, and you can also see the difference from Kepler's stage views, which are considerably higher than the other groups, and since Luna will probably rank really low on the other categories, especially on the comebacks song, unless they include iTunes for the metrics, or other international streaming services, they will end up in last place. I think their comeback song will give them a lot of points, and maybe one of their stages ends up having the most points between the judges and the self-rankings. But on the other categories, they will fall behind a bit, and unless, as I said, they show some really interesting sides from them, I don't see them having a greater impact with their stages, and they will end up in 5th place. Although I think she will gain a lot of popularity, my point still stands, she's a soloist. And as we saw with Park Bom on season 1, soloists are at a big disadvantage on Queendom, and that will for sure affect her final score. Especially international fans that will not pay as much attention to her stage as to the group's stages. I also think that the stage where they form subunits, if they end up doing that, will put her in the last ranking, just like what happened with Park Bom in the dance unit, because she will probably have someone else do for her one of the subunits. She will place high on the subunit that she participates in though. Fun fact, the one doing Park Bom's role on the dance subunit on Queendom 1 was Brave Girls Yoonji. And now she is on Queendom 2 participating with her group. The irony, right?
Now 도착한 이 place. Watch my step. 난 신을 따라 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I still think that they will not do really well on the categories, that the international fans can't do anything, but they will do so well on the ones that the international fans can participate, that will give them a big boost in the final ranking. And as I said, I also think that their Korean fandom will grow by the end of the show, so I think their comeback song will do well too. They placed this low because their lack of experience will be noted by the judges, and the other groups will also rank them the lowest most frequently because they are the newest group of the 6, and from what we've seen in previous seasons, groups tend to be biased by the Sunbeam factor a lot, which means they will rank the highest the older groups and the lowest the rookie groups. They may start at the very bottom on the first stage, but they will for sure grow a lot during the show and will end up on second place while gaining praises from the other contestants, from the judges, and from the general public. They will show their true essence, and because of that they will thrive. Compared to the first place, they will probably have a bit less on the digitals for the final comeback, and maybe the score from their earlier stages will also affect them. These talented women have everything to win Queendom 2 in my opinion. They will dominate the digitals, they have the experience that will be noticed by the judges, the fellow contestants will admire them, the general public is going to keep an eye on them, and their fandom is going to grow. I think that, overall, they will end up having the highest score and will solidify themselves as the second queens of K-pop with a very bright future ahead of them. They may not win most of the rounds, but they will have a very high position in each one of them, which will make them have the biggest number of points by the end. Also, their comeback song is going to crush the others on the digitals, I'm afraid, especially if they release another bop like Rollin' or Thank You. Once again, I want to reiterate that these are only my predictions and that I do not wish lack of success for any of the groups. In fact, after that show, that will be really tiring and mean, since it's a net show, every single one of the groups deserves to have a lot of success. Please do support each of the artists that are on Queendom 2. And this is it for my video. If you enjoyed, please don't forget to leave a like and consider subscribing because I am trying to post more frequently. Also, I may do an updated take on this video after watching the episodes that have already been released. Maybe if this video does well, I may do that. Once again, thank you so much for 500 subscribers. I still can't believe I reached that mark. Look forward to my future videos.
Fly me to the moon, 나를 데려가